Hey everybody, I am just posting some stuff here and then we'll get going. So give me just a second. I want to make sure that everybody can kind of see what's going on and we can get things rolling here. There's a lot to talk about. So give me just a second. All right. Just want to make sure I get the live stream up. That way I can talk to everybody and see what's going on. I'm going to wait a few seconds, get everybody on here and whatnot. So if you guys can hear me okay, make sure to leave a message in the comments because we are going to get rolling here in just a second. So give me just a second. Okay. Trying to pull up the live stream. All right. Okay, so I should be able to see everybody's messages right now. But anyways, hope everybody's doing good. I didn't expect to do a live stream tonight, but you know what? I have some time. And I figured it'd be kind of fun because I haven't done one in a couple, probably a week. So I've just been busy. Got stuff with the family going on. I did a couple videos today. There'll be a couple more videos coming out probably tomorrow and the next day. I got quite a bit of stuff to talk about. But if you guys get a chance, I'm not going to go through everything about the two videos I posted today because I want you guys to go and watch them because I talk actually in depth quite a bit about them. But one had to be, the last one I posted this evening was about the new 2026 Ram 1500 Ramcharger. We actually got images of it out testing for the first time on public roads. So that was big news. Obviously, it's a prototype. It's not like a complete truck because there are some details that need to be kind of changed in order for it to make, be like the production model that Ram showed us. But nonetheless, it is pretty exciting that we're actually going to see this truck by the end of the year. And I'll tell you what, I mean, the last few days, everybody's been, how can I say this? There's been a lot of rumors going on, especially today. Certain YouTubers are posting stuff about Chinese companies getting involved with Chrysler. And I can say that I talked to people today, and it is far from the truth. There is nothing that's going on with Chrysler or Maserati in the Chinese. So Chrysler, they have products coming. We're going to talk about them tonight. And I'm going to post a video tomorrow about it. But there's a lot of stuff going on with the Chrysler brand. It's been kind of put in hiatus, mainly because they're working on other projects. So I went out to the Chrysler Tech Center this week. And actually, it was kind of nice going around there because it's a totally different world. I haven't seen it that busy since COVID, like before COVID. So most of the parking lots are like 3/4 of the way full, which is kind of nice to see. There are prototypes running everywhere out there. And a lot of them are just basically production models of the Dodge Charger Daytona and Wagoneer S. And what they're doing with those is now that everybody's back in the office, the engineers and stuff, like almost everybody is running one. It's crazy how many are Charger Daytonas and stuff they have running around. And the reason why is because they're trying to fix all these issues. If you go on to the Facebook page, like the Jeep Wagoneer, what's it called? Jeep Wagoneer S EV group, they have had tons and tons of problems with owners having what they call the lobster of death. Now, it's actually a wrench, like a logo that comes up on the dash, but it has like a zigzag pattern, and kind of looks like a lobster, to be honest with you. So they call it a lobster of death. And what happens is basically they get this warning, and a lot of the times they say like a display will come up on the dash saying, "Hey, don't shift your car in park because it will not move. It says basically drive to a dealer. And a lot of people are freaking out about it. But a lot of people have found out that by disconnecting the 12-volt battery in the back, that it basically reboots the system and it's fine. So it's getting kind of crazy because a lot of people have said, this is happening all the time. You wash your car, it bricks. You're driving through a drive-through, all of a sudden it bricks. And people are just getting fed up. Well, I can tell you that the Chrysler engineers are hardcore working on this issue, because I have never seen so many Wagoneer S's and Charger Daytonas running around the Chrysler Tech Center ever. Like, ever. So they are working their butts off to get this software right. And I think that has a lot to do with the Chrysler vehicle being delayed too. So we're going to talk about that. But nonetheless, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I happen to see a lot of different prototypes running around. You're going to see some of them on Mopar Insiders this week. We're going to have another vehicle. We're going to have pictures of the new Jeep Recon, more of a production-ready version of it. And it's still camoed up a little bit, but there's some different details to it. So, like, for example, you're going to see, like, different colored tow hooks. We're going to talk a little more in depth on it. And, it's already in production in Mexico. And we're going to get this vehicle later this summer. But there's a lot of things going on with tariffs and all this other stuff, and it's going to get kind of crazy. So there's a lot to talk about. I mean, put it this way. In the last month and a half, this company has done a complete 180, and we are going to see some of the coolest stuff come out. From what I've been hearing from people, and I've been on the phone with different plants and stuff, and different people that I know within the company, not just for manufacturing, but like inside CTC, I know a ton of people, and it's pretty freaking amazing the stuff that they're going to be doing. We're going to have a huge story on Saturday on Mopar Insiders, and a huge story on Friday as well, kind of breaking some new news. So stay tuned for that, because I don't want to give it away, but I think a lot of you guys will be guys and girls, will be very, very happy of what's going to happen in the next, I would say 12 months. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on at CTC and just all over the place. So, but anyways, yeah, I did a video about the Ram 1500 Ramcharger, and I'll just go through it real quick. I mean, you guys can go watch the video. It's going to be a lot more in depth. Again, this is the first time we've seen this truck on public roads. We've seen it test with camouflage and stuff like that, but this is the first time we've seen it without camouflage. And basically, I mean, again, the trim panels don't match up. Like, if we look at the actual version that, Ram posted, we actually see that, it had body-colored grille surrounds. This one doesn't. It has chrome, and it says Ramcharger on the actual hood badging. This one has an e-torque badge, which we know that the Pentastar won't have an e-torque system because it's going to be a generator. And, it's just going to be totally different than this. But this is the first time we actually get to see the truck out in the wild, and you can see like the new Ram actual badging and how it's lit up with the running lights, the DRLs. So that's kind of cool. We do get a good look at the new, what we call the slicer wheels, because they're angular. These wheels were on the Ram Rev. We have yet to see them on the Ramcharger, because if you look here, they had these kind of wheels, and even on the actual video that we've seen, that you can see in my video that I posted earlier, they have these wheels on it. So it's kind of nice seeing these wheels on it, but this truck's going to be a game changer. I mean, Tim Kuniskis basically realized, hey, there's not much demand for electric trucks right now, but there is a huge demand for, or at least interest in this truck. So with having a onboard generator, using the Pentastar V6 as an onboard generator, I mean, basically you can keep, you tow something with this. I mean, this truck will have the capability of 14,000 pounds of towing. It has 663 horsepower, 615 foot-pounds of torque, 2 EDMs, all-wheel drive. I mean, 2,625 pounds of payload capacity, way more than any Ram 1500 out there. It's just going to be a game changer on what this truck's capable of. The only downfall about this truck is it's only available in a crew cab 5'7" box configuration. But nonetheless, the numbers are pretty impressive. It'll do 0 to 60 in like 4.4 seconds, which is slower than like the F-150 Lightning. However, This thing tows more, has more payload, and we'll be able to get obviously way better range, because what Ram's telling us is that if you plug basically it's got a 92 kilowatt hour battery. If you plug in the battery, get full charge on that, and you pump, the tank full of gas, you're going to get around 690 miles of range. So that's going to be game changing. The question is the price. We know like a tungsten, this is a tungsten model, and you can see it right here on the back, tungsten. The tungsten model in a normal Ram 1500 is like $90,000. And this truck will be like well over $100,000 easily. But the very interesting part about all this is the fact that they're going to bring out 5 trim levels. So we're not just going to get the tungsten, we're going to get our tradesman model, which will have the normal conventional Ram 1500 taillights in it, and we'll have like a black colored body, like bumpers. But we're going to get a tradesman model, so that should be kind of budget friendly. I'm thinking it'll probably be around, I don't know, probably like $50,000. We're going to get a bighorn model. We're going to get a Laramie and a Limited on top of the tungsten. Now, a lot of people are going like, well, where the hell is the Rebel? And honestly, they haven't announced a Rebel or a Longhorn model yet. But what we're hearing is a lot of people have been talking and saying that they are going to eventually work into a like Rebel-like model. We don't know if it's going to be a Rebel. We don't know if it's going to be a Warlock. We don't know. But nonetheless, there's going to be some kind of off-road variant, but it's going to be coming in the future. And it'll probably have less range and stuff, but right now they're going to be pushing this super hardcore because Tim Kuniskis pulled this in front of the Rev, and the Rev's been pushed back to like mid-year 2026. And then it's only going to have 350 miles of range compared to this thing. So this one looks like a conventional Ram. I mean, it's kind of funny unless you really know your trucks and know that badging's different and whatnot. You would assume that this is a normal Ram 1500. So if you get a chance, go on my channel and watch the video. It's pretty in-depth. But hold on here. Let's see what people have to say. Is this a picture of the with the back top off? I assume it's a removable top. Like, I wish it was an SUV. I think Ram should have an SUV. I think that would be really cool. I would love to see like a suburban kind of style Ram SUV, that or a Dodge one. I think that the Jeep Wagoneer. The original plans were to have a Dodge Durango. I mean, this is from back in 2018. They were talking. I seen documents that were leaked that basically showed that they were going to build a the next generation Dodge Durango as a body-on-frame vehicle, and that the reason why a lot of it had to do with was them going into the police market because of the Tahoe, and unfortunately, that's not going to happen. We're going to get another Dodge Durango, but it's going to be unibody still. But I really think that the Wagoneer could be complemented with another brand, whether it be Dodge or Ram. I think that would be really good. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird that they're using the Ramcharger name. It's kind of clever, but it's kind of weird that they're using the Ramcharger name. It's just like they used the Rampage name for that little subcompact, or not subcompact, that compact pickup in Brazil that's doing so good. So it's kind of weird when you say Ram, Rampage, and Ramcharger. It's weird. It's kind of like Ferrari, LaFerrari, it's kind of stupid, but whatever. But there's a lot of promise with this truck. So again, Ram was the first one to announce this kind of technology in this kind of vehicle, and now we're seeing Scout jump on board with their, their upcoming Terra Harvester model. So this technology is probably going to be taking over for most pickup trucks. We know that Ford's actually working on a midsize all-electric truck, but what we're hearing is they're working on a new hybrid. They've pretty much dumped the Lightning because the Lightning sales have been down, and they're going to be working on basically a hybrid truck. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this truck competes against the next generation F-150, which is kind of funny because Ford announced officially that they're pushing the new next generation F-150 back by 2 model years. So the current truck is going to stay around till I think 2028, which is right in line with what the DT trucks are. So the DT trucks are going to stay around till about 2028, 2029, and then we'll get an all brand new generation of truck, an actual 6th gen Ram. I've seen Facebook pages saying, oh, this is a 6th gen truck. It's not a 6th gen truck. It's still the DT trucks, still 5th gen. So, but there's a lot of news with the DT trucks that we're going to talk about tonight. So we've been hearing things for a while that, Tim Kuniskis has really pushed, is really pushing for a lineup of sub $50,000 trucks. And the very interesting thing is Stellantis' CFO, Doug Osterman. Now, he's American, and he, works out of Auburn Hills, and he knows the pickup market pretty good. And he's been really saying, like, along with Tim, that, hey, they're really looking at bringing more affordable pickups. And they really are. One of the reasons why Ram sales are down so much is the Ram 1500 Classic was such an important part of the lineup, because people that had bad credit, people that didn't have a lot of money, the Ram 1500 Classic, even though it was the old 4th gen truck that had been around since mid 2008, basically, it was the cheapest way to get into a full-size truck and was well equipped for what it was. So they are looking at bringing cheaper models of the Ram 1500 DT to the production. Now, I posted a few of these trucks that are under $50,000 now. Like, obviously, here is a Ram 1500 Tradesman Sport. A lot of people don't know about this truck. You can get it with Pentastar or, the SST engine, basically the Hurricane's standard output engine with 420 horsepower. And with the standard output Hurricane, it comes in about $51,000. But with the e-torque, the V6, the Pentastar V6, you can get one for like $47,000, which isn't bad at all. And then there's discounts on these trucks as well. And then, of course, this is the Ram 1500 Classic Warlock that was such a good seller for the brand. The sad thing was, according to our connections with the Canadian dealers, you might remember that Ram actually canceled the Ram 1500 Classic early in Canada. And the reason why was the Ram 1500 Classic was actually making up a majority of the sales for Ram 1500 up there, because obviously truck prices are so high that they were ticked that the DT trucks weren't selling well. So they decided to cancel the Ram 1500 Classic up in Canada early just to push the DT trucks. So now that the DT trucks are in, there really isn't any affordable models other than the ones I'm showing you, like the Warlock, which is 50 grand here. So they are desperately in need of trucks up there, because not everybody can afford a $90,000 Tungsten. Or even if you look at a Bighorn, you're pushing almost $70K now. Basically, I had a 2019 Laramie Sport, and if I bought that truck, when I bought that truck, it was what, 64 out the door. And that was like in, when Ram was at its prime with, 2019 prices. If you look at the same exact truck now, obviously without the Hemi, but with the Hurricane engine in it, you're looking at $75,000, $76,000 before incentives. So Ram really needs to bring some really affordable trucks, sport trucks, to the market. A lot of people don't know that there is a Ram 1500 Tradesman Night Edition truck. Now, you do get cloth seats, you do get more of a base style wheel, but I'll be honest with you, you can get this truck for like $47,000. It does have a Pentastar V6. Again, you can upgrade to the standard output Hurricane engine with 420 horsepower, and it'll still be about $51,000. But it's kind of funny because a lot of people don't realize these trucks now for 2025 come standard with the same LED headlights as the Laramies. They basically have halogen taillights, which you get halogens now all the way up to the Laramie trim. All the trucks come with adaptive cruise control now. And the Tradesmen now come with the 8.4-inch screen standard. So it's not a bad truck. If you bought one of these, you can throw aftermarket wheels on this thing. And, I mean, you don't get an upper glove box. You do have a little bit harder plastics and stuff, and you do lose your stereo controls on the back of the steering wheel. But overall, it's pretty much the same truck as a Bighorn. And you can deck it out using the same money that you would save from buying a Bighorn and kind of customize your truck to how you want it. So there's a lot of different options out there. So if you're one of these people that like to customize their Ram pickups and want to save a bunch to like actually customize it, I would suggest looking at the different Tradesman models. Now, they have the Tradesman Level 1 package, which basically adds carpet, a power sliding rear window. It's got a ton of different options on it, but you're just losing out on the upper glove box. And really, with the upper glove box, when they take it out, you have like a shelf. So you can put sunglasses and stuff, whatever, in there. But big freaking whoop. I mean, another cool thing about this package is you get a standard bench seat. So it's cloth, but it's got a bench seat. So you can actually sit 6 passengers, and then the bench seat actually folds down so you have an actual armrest if you're not, You don't have one of those passengers there. So there's a lot of different like bonuses, kind of like, not bonus, but plus sides of having a cheaper truck a little bit, because you get more seating, you get all these other features and stuff that really people wouldn't look at. But you can dress up one of these tradesman models pretty nice. And like I said, you might not like these, basic 20-inch wheels. There's a lot of aftermarket options that aren't that expensive. I mean, you can go out back 2 years ago when I had my 2019 truck. I had 22s on it, and it rode rough. I never was a huge fan of the 22s. They look great, but I got sick and tired of how it was riding. I actually went on eBay, and for $1,800, I bought a brand new set of Rebel wheels with stock tires that only had 20 miles on it. It's $1,800, and I got, the Rebel wheels, the all blacked out Rebel wheels with the Duratrax. And I mean, it totally changed the look of the truck. I sold that truck to actually my best friend's wife because she had a Rebel and she absolutely loved it, and they traded it in. And now my buddy put a leveling kit on it, and that thing looks like it's jacked up. I mean, it looks really sweet. So there's a lot of different things you can do with these trucks and still keep it pretty reasonable. I mean, with interest rates the way they are, $50,000, you're still paying close to almost, even if you have good credit and let's say you put $1,000 down, you're looking at payments of like $800+ a month. So, I mean, if you can save any money that you can, you might as well. Let's see here. If Dodge can make a small truck with a 4-cylinder, 4-wheel drive that can tow 2,000 pounds, I'll pick one up ASAP. So they actually do have one of those trucks. It's in Brazil, the Ram Rampage, and unfortunately, it's not coming here. I really wish it would, because the problem is with the Rampage, it's a really nice looking truck, but it's basically a Jeep Compass underneath, and it's actually quite capable. It shares the same front doors, A-pillars, and the windshield as the Compass. But the only problem with the Rampage is the Ram is considered a premium truck in Brazil, and because it's so highly contented, it's not like, even though it's the same size as the Maverick, it's got a better interior, better plastics and stuff. If you go to get a Rebel one, you're looking at, if you were to import it here, it'd be like $50,000. Now, why they can't build them at Brampton with the new Compass, I don't know. I think that would be a great pickup if they could take and strip it out a little bit, offer like a tradesman model, put the 2-liter, obviously it's got the 2-liter 4-cylinder in it that, the Wrangler and like the 4xe models have. So it's a proven engine. So I don't understand why they can't bring that here and just kind of strip it out, make a front-wheel drive standard model, not just offer it with 4-wheel drive standard, but kind of strip it out a little bit and make it so it's appealing to, the prices, compared to the Maverick. And they would sell a ton of those. Maverick is actually selling 5 to 1 of what the Ford Ranger does. So I don't know why they're not doing that. Now, we do know that there's the new midsize truck coming out, and that's going to be a totally different kind of thing. A lot of people are bummed out about that truck. I get more messages about that new midsize truck than anything. And the honest to God's truth is, I don't know a whole lot about it. Because things are changing. Originally, it was supposed to be, they were going to launch an EV, and then they were going to launch ICE. Now we're hearing that it might not even be at Belvedere. We're hearing that it might be shipped to Toledo, and they might move Gladiator production to Toledo North, and that the pickup will be built there, and then Belvedere will get something else. There's rumors going around, and I'm still trying to confirm them. That's why you haven't seen them on Mopar Insiders. I try to talk to a ton of different people to get stuff. Like, we only post stuff that we were like 95% sure of. So there's a lot of things going on. There's going to be some plant shuffling soon that we're going to see. And that new pickup is going to be unibody based. My biggest problem is the Stella Large platform. You can do a lot with that. You can make it so, even though it's unibody based, it's going to have air suspension and all that. The problem comes down to price. If that midsize truck is anywhere close to the Ram 1500 money, it's going to be dead in the water. That's the same kind of problem they ran into back in 2011 when they had the Dodge Dakota and the Ram 1500. They were kind of competing against each other for the same amount of money. And like the whole thing was, why would you buy a Dodge Dakota when you can get the bigger Ram 1500 for the same price? So that's what my biggest problem is with this new midsize truck. I would rather see them spend the money and bring a Americanized version of the Rampage here. The funny thing is living here in Michigan, I've seen actually 5 or 6 Rampages driving around on public highways, just like normal, because ZF tests them because they run ZF 9 speeds, and ZF is based, they have a testing facility in Novi, and it's right down the road from me. And I see these test mules running around all the time. Matter of fact, we've posted pictures of them on Mopar Insiders back a long time ago. There was a Laramie one that was running around that one of the readers seen in Novi at the gym. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. Hey, Mike, how's it going, man? Robert, is the Pentastar V6 in the Ramcharger an Atkinson cycle like the Pacifica Hybrid? I don't think so. I'm not sure. I can look into that, Mike. All I know is that this version of the Pentastar is like 40% different parts. So I'm not sure. I know like 40% of it is totally different because it's not going to have like obviously the e-torque system or anything like that because it's just being used as a generator. So I will have to look. Let's see here. I wish they'd bring back the Magnum. The Magnum was a cool vehicle. The only problem I had with the Magnum was it was a nightmare to back up because obviously we didn't have backup cameras back then. I worked at a Dodge dealership at the time when the Magnum had hit, and it was a cool vehicle. It was a nightmare to like see out when you're backing up. But with today's 360 cameras, oh, it'd be easy. Will the 2026 come with a V8? Yes. You're talking about the Ram 1500? Yes, the Ram 1500 will get the 5.7 Hemi, according to our sources. We wrote a huge article about it. There's actually a video on my the Mopar Junkie YouTube channel about it. We're hearing some things that you're going to see some stuff posted on Friday, I believe. Jared's writing up a whole new article about the Hemi. So there's going to be some changes from what we hear. It's not going to be the same engine. It's going to be the 5.7, obviously, but it's going to have some updates to it. I don't want to go too much into it because I want you guys to read the article. But yes, the trucks will, by the end of the year, start getting, for the 2026 model year, they will start getting 5.7 power. Now, what we've been told is, according to, again, to our sources, the Hemi is not going to be in every truck, okay? It's going to be on the lower end of the spectrum. So if you want a Hemi, obviously if you look at these tradesman trucks, there will probably be a Hemi in these. There will probably be a Hemi in the Bighorns. I doubt in the Laramies. The reason why is the 5.7, even though it's getting some updates, still will make lower power than the Hurricane engines. They don't want the Hurricanes to be outshadowed by the Hemi. And the Hemi is actually way cheaper to produce than the Hurricane engines. So when you're looking at money like savings, when we're talking about $50,000, like sub $50,000 trucks, yeah, the Hemi is going to be cheaper because, you know, obviously less parts and stuff. So let's see here. Which is the current Ranger's problem? It gets pricey quick. The Maverick is loaded under 40K. Yeah, I've seen Mavericks up to like, I think for the Tremor, I think the Maverick Tremor is like 45K. Or not 45K, I'm sorry, 42K. And that's fully loaded. That's with every option on it. The thing is like if we brought if they brought the Rampage Rebel. Let me see if I can let me see if I can do a picture of it real quick. I like bringing stuff up so you guys can kind of see it. I just did an article on the Rampage a couple days ago. Hold on here. So here's the new Laramie Night Edition package. This one's got, they've had the Laramie Night Edition before, but this one's got the new diesel in it. So down there, the entry-level engine's actually a 2.2 liter multi-jet 4-cylinder turbo diesel. And then you step up into the 2 liter Hurricane inline 4. So down there, this truck right here is, well, Basically, this pack, the night edition package, is $1,000. But if you're looking at like this entry level Laramie, you're looking at probably about about 42,000. If you get into a Rebel, you're looking at like $45,000 US down there, and that doesn't include the tariffs and stuff. That's one thing that we're gonna have to really look into is tariffs, because obviously Trump's really gonna be big on this. So it's really going to push Stellantis to kind of maximize production here and kind of bring more stuff here. So it is a nice looking truck, Mike. There's, hold on here. I'll bring up some other trucks too. There's a lot of packages. Like a lot of people don't know. Here's the RT. So down there, this is the top of the line Rampage, the RT model. So again, you know, Dodge and obviously Ram 1500 had an RT package, but down there they basically, this is the fastest Brazilian built pickup. So, and they had the RT truck down there. This is the Rebel here, and it looks really good. Again, it shares the same front doors with the Jeep Compass, same A-pillar, and same windshield. But overall, it's a nice looking truck. The problem is the price. You get into these trucks and they start loading up on stuff. If you look at the interior compared to the Maverick. I mean, you do get one of these tablet screens, which I freaking hate, but whatever. You get a rotary dial shifter, but you get suede on the freaking dash, leather and suede steering wheels. We don't need that crap. Get rid of it, put in some hard plastics, and make this thing like $23,000. And I swear, these things will be bought up no problem. Same dimensions. A lot of people don't understand this. It's the same dimensions as the Maverick. It's, if you put these, I did the numbers before on Mopar Insiders. I think the Rampage is maybe like 1.3 inches longer than the Maverick. And it's maybe like 0.2 inches wider. But it's very, very similar. Very, very similar. So the problem is if you look at the materials in this thing, it's a premium truck and the Maverick isn't. So that's where they separate. But it is a nice truck, and yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with this truck at all. I mean, it fits in every garage, which is cool. It can tow, I think, 2,500 pounds. Has the same four-wheel drive capability as, like, on the Rebel. You get the same four-wheel drive system and stuff that's on the Compass, Trailhawk. So, I mean, this thing's pretty off-road capable. So, it's just it's a super nice truck that they really need to bring here. Bighorn with a Hemi, yes. The 2026 Ram TRX needs the 797 horsepower red-eye engine to take the throne back from the Raptor R. So, Dorian, what we're hearing is, we posted an article on Mopar Insiders a couple of, well, actually it was about, almost 2 weeks ago now? I'm sure a lot of you guys seen that list that was posted online. And it's kind of funny because it was said it was from a dealer conference call. If you look at that list, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It says the Chrysler Pacifica is going to have an FAV package. It's already been out. If you look at some of the stuff, like, for example, a Ram, what did it say? A Ram Cummins Power Wagon. That can't happen unless they take the winch off. So, I mean, if you want a Ram, like, Cummins off-road truck, you got the Rebel already. There's just a lot of things that didn't make sense, but the TRX thing is happening. We've seen stuff from dealers. They did talk to dealers about the TRX. They didn't say what engine's coming back or anything, but what we've heard is it's definitely going to be more powerful, and there could be two options. So Hellcat power is going to be back for sure. Same 8 HP 95 transmission. But what we're hearing is they're either going to tune it, so it's going to have, 717 horsepower, or it might be a red-eye engine. But what we're hearing is they're going to pull from the stockpiles for the first part of these engines. So we don't know how limited the number of, how the, how many they're going to build. And we also don't know pricing. Because if you look, it's kind of funny. If you go on Ram's website, the RHO, which I drove a couple weeks ago and was really surprised with how great that truck is. I don't care what people say about the Hurricane engine. It's very impressive. It doesn't sound like Hemi. Yeah, it sounds like crap, but it is a really good engine, especially in that package. The problem with the RHO is it starts at $69,995, so 70K. By the time, I mean, if you can add the RHO level 1 package, which the truck I drove had, that adds 10 grand to the package, but it adds massaging seats, top of the line leather, heated and ventilated front and rear seats. It basically makes it into a luxury truck. The problem is, when I was looking at RHOs, even tonight, I was looking at the prices on them, and dealerships are putting premiums on these trucks because one was Ram couldn't build them. They for some reason they weren't getting them built, and many dealers didn't get them. Now that dealers are getting them, they're getting stupid, and we're seeing markups, and it's just getting dumb again, where these dealers are charging $90,000. I seen one fully loaded RHO listed for $110K. And then the same dealer had a leftover TRX final edition for $115. What would you choose? How stupid are they? There's no doubt in my mind that the TRX will be $100K. I don't see it being cheap. The RHO is basically the price of what the TRX started at, but I think we're probably going to see the TRX probably in the same kind of category that the outgoing truck was with the final edition. From what we hear, nothing's changing. It's going to look just like the RHO. There's nothing going to be really different on it. It's just going to be the powertrain. And it makes sense because, the RHO has basically the same exact, everything except for the engine and transmission. And it has all the new updates. The funny thing is with the RHO is when I drove it, 540 horsepower is no slouch. I would put the RHO up against my 2023 Chrysler 300C, and I bet you that RHO would walk away from it. Even though it's way heavier, I guarantee that the RHO would beat the hell out of my 300C. Again, the funny thing about the RHO, why I liked it so much better than driving the TRX is fun. When I drove one, the supercharged whine, the sound, it's amazing. Problem is, you're in single digit territory all the time. When you punch on it, you're getting 4 miles a gallon. When you're being light on the throttle, you're getting 9 miles a gallon. The thing sucks on fuel. It's a terrible fuel sucking pickup. And you get a 34 gallon tank no matter what. The RHO has the same kind of thing with a 34 gallon tank, but 540 horsepower, you might not be it's really quiet. It's really weird. It's a complete opposite animal than the TRX. It's still fast, but it's not blunt instrument fast. It's fast for a pickup. 540 horsepower is no joke. But it's super smooth, and how can I say this? I got 14.5 miles per gallon with the thing. And that was driving it mixed, city driving, highway driving, 14.5. So it wasn't as bad as the TRX. Overall, with it being a little bit lighter than the TRX, meaning I think it's 250 pounds lighter, and most of it's over the front end, it doesn't nosedive when you hit the brakes like the TRX does. If you hit the brakes really fast in the TRX because you have that massive Hellcat engine in the front, I noticed that the truck likes to kind of nosedive a little bit. The RHO doesn't do that. And the one thing that they did to the actual, because you got to remember, the RHO and TRX are not 4x4s. They're actually all-wheel drives. So they have standard all-wheel drive. You can't turn it off, and they have two-wheel drive. But because the truck in the RHO is a little lighter, they made it more rear-wheel drive bias. So you can kind of slide it a little bit more. If you're going down a dirt road and you kind of get fun with it, you can kind of slide it out a little bit better. So if you're talking about, is the RHO a fun truck? Hell yeah, it is. when I looked at this truck, if it was me, I mean, I really like the massaging seats and stuff. Again, the truck I drove was $86,000 and it didn't have every option. It didn't have a sunroof. It didn't have the hood graphics. And it didn't have the side steps. It had the rock rails, which were stupid. If it was me, I would buy the base model truck. Base model truck, bed utility group. I mean, you get the spray and bed liner and that's it. And you're probably at like $72,000. If you buy that truck, you get a 12-inch Uconnect system. You don't get the heads up or anything like that, but the interior is still super nice. You still get heated front seats. You get the Alpine sound system, which sounds still pretty damn good. I mean, it's plenty of a luxury truck. And the funny thing is, if you look at the Rebel starts out at $64,990, I think it is, before incentives. If you pay the extra $5,000, you're getting into an RHO, and the suspension is so much better. Michigan roads suck, like absolutely suck. And if you watch my RHO video on here, you'll see that I'm driving down terrible bumpy roads, and you didn't feel anything. The truck was so smooth because it's got 13 inches of travel. You do lose payload capacity and stuff compared to the Rebel, but you get that amazing looking wide body kit. And I'll tell you what, everybody likes the looks of that truck. It's funny because everywhere I went, first of all, there's not many RHOs on the road here in Michigan, even though they're built here and stuff, because Ram didn't build enough of them at launch. We didn't get them until late. No matter where I went, people thought it was a TRX anyways, because of how it looks, because it's got the same hood and stuff. But everybody loves the wide body look. And it's a massive truck. It's a pain in the ass when you take it to car washes. Like, first of all, that body kit, it throws dirt everywhere. I washed that truck. I had it for a week. I washed it 6 times. Could not keep that truck clean. Good thing it's an off-road truck. But the thing is that you can't take it through like automatic car washes. It's too wide. It's like a Ford Raptor. So it's too wide to go through like 99% of car washes. So, but I mean, it's a lot of fun. But if it was me, I would stay with the $70,000 model. So, sorry, I didn't mean to get sidetracked on the RHO, but it was a good truck. Even if you let's see here. Even if you decontented the Rampage, the interior is still better than the Maverick, in my opinion. At a Rampage at $35K would be awesome. I agree, Mike. I think the Rampage would be a good truck. The problem is just, again, it's just price, because, I mean, the Maverick interior is hard plastics everywhere. And I mean, they got exposed bolts and you can 3D print stuff. I mean, they made it so it's like cheap. The Ram Rampage just isn't that truck. So no matter what, it would be more expensive. But the problem is following what Stellantis has in their formula. Meaning, like, if you look at the Jeep Compass, right? Every Jeep comes standard with 4-wheel drive. Well, just a few years ago, you could get front-wheel drive on almost every Jeep except for, obviously, the rear-wheel drive ones. And it just adds more to the price. I mean, it adds $2 more grand to the price. So if you can get a Jeep Compass with Jeep Compass Sport 4x4 for $25,995, and you live in Texas like you do, Mike, or California or Florida, where you really don't need 4-wheel drive, why not save the extra $2,500, $2,000, and lower the price to $23,000, where it competes really with the Chevy Trax? And I mean, they could make a lot more sales and have a lot more offerings. It doesn't make any sense to me. And if they brought the Rampage here, that's the problem they would have to face, because every Rampage is standard 4-wheel drive. But I don't understand why they couldn't make a 2-wheel drive version of it. Let's see here. Dealers are good at shooting themselves in the foot. RHO prices will well with the Raptor. So the Raptor starts at $77,000, and RHO prices are pretty close to that. And I think dealers are kind of seeing that. The problem is Stellantis needs to really enforce their dealers. It's getting ridiculous, and that's the problem we had before. And Stellantis, the dealers are all upset with Stellantis. Oh, we don't trust them. They did that dealer study back in the summer, it was in the summer, where 72% of dealers don't trust Stellantis. Okay, but you guys keep screwing people over with, add-ons and all this other crap. You know, the dealers I deal with here are small town dealers. And it's hard to find here in Michigan, but there's 2 dealers I deal with, and I know pretty much everybody that works there at both of them. And the very interesting thing is both of them don't do any add-ons. What the price they give you is what you get. And I like that. The dealer that's closest to my house, they're freaking terrible. And I think Stellantis really needs to start policing their dealers. I really do. I think they really need to start penalizing the dealers. Hey, if you're going to start charging, you know, huge markups on these vehicles, you're not going to get special edition vehicles. You know, I see they need to start punishing dealers. Ford has done it. Ford has actually threatened their dealers saying, hey, we're going to, instead of selling cars through their dealer system, we're just going to make it so people can buy them online. They did it during COVID. So why can't Stellantis threaten the same things? I mean, I will give Jim Farley some credit, because he has no problem standing up against the actual Ford network of dealers. If they are going to screw their people over, he will stand up and basically shoot the dealers down. You're not getting special edition cars. You're not going to be able to get this. You're not going to be able to get this. And we'll look at dealer doing stuff online and cutting out the middleman. And that's kind of how Stellantis needs to go about. Instead, Stellantis kind of pussyfoots around. You know, one of the worst things that we've ever seen is the Dodge Garage horsepower locator. That is one of the stupidest freaking things I've ever seen in my life. You go on there, they send whatever dealers sell the most of certain vehicles, they give them special edition vehicles, and then you have to call the dealer, and the dealer already knows that, hey, there's only 4 of these vehicles within 250 miles, and they'll jack up the price on them. That's what happened to the last call cars. And I mean, there's one dealer here, it's been broadcasted all over the internet. Rochester Hills Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has over 60 last call cars, all Scat Packs and Hellcats, still in their lot from 2023, and nobody will buy them because they put huge markups on them. And some dealers are stupid and they're willing to sit on them. And here we are, the 2026 model year for Dodge Charger is going to start in June. So you're going to have 2023s, 24s, 25s, and 26s all sitting on your lot. How stupid are you? You know, I mean, it's dumb. But Stellantis needs to get up off their ass and really police these dealers. These dealer network centers who deal with the actual dealers directly need to start policing them, saying, hey, if you're going to have huge markups on vehicles, then the dealer centers need to go out and kind of threaten these dealers and say, hey, we're going to not send you special edition vehicles anymore. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, I can understand if there's a huge demand, put $1,000 more, not $10,000, $15,000. We've seen Demon 170s with $100,000 markups on them, and now the people can't even get rid of those cars. It's hilarious. The 2018 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon is actually holding its value better than the 2023 cars, which is scary because there's been all these problems with the 2023 cars, and people just way overpaid for them. And now we're seeing the market kind of crash on those cars, where those cars are really going for about $160,000, $180,000, and the Demon ones, or the actual 2018 Demons, are still holding their value between $140 and $180. So it's been amazing watching Meekum and all these sales, because it's just crazy what has happened to the last call cars. Now, I will say, when I sold my 2023 300C, I lost about 10 grand on it after but I wasn't going to sit there and watch the car devalue as I didn't drive it. That was my biggest problem. The thing was, when I got that car, it was $55K. They called me. I put a reservation in, put a deposit down. They called me. I picked my color. I got to pick the dealer. And the dealer couldn't do any markups on the car. And that's what was cool about it. They basically said, hey, if you're going to mark up the car, we'll contact the owner, and we'll basically have them pick a different dealer. That's the kind of crap that they needed to do for Dodge, and Dodge just hasn't done it. Let's see here. Any word on 6-pack pricing? No, there has been nothing said about the 6-pack because Dodge has not released anything about the 6-pack other than it's coming. Now stay tuned because the Dodge Charger 6-pack, I actually have some pictures of the new 4-door running around, but the problem is they're blurry. I got to go back out and see if I can get better ones. I will tell you that new Power Dome hood looks freaking amazing on that car. I mean, it really does. It looks absolutely awesome. But yeah, I mean, the car looks good. I've seen both the coupe and sedan testing, and we're gonna get those cars in June, so they're coming. And I'm really excited about the 4-door. The 4-door looks so much better than the coupe. It looks so much better. That car. I mean, obviously at a Dodge Charger, we've been used to a 4-door. While the 2-door is nice, it does kind of look really, even with the extended length of the doors, it just kind of looks like it's big. The 4-door kind of fills out that back panel so much better. But realistically, with all-wheel drive in that, I would say that you're looking at probably about 45, 46 for the sedan, and you're probably looking at close to 55 with the coupe starting. That doesn't include plus packages. Now, what we know is that whatever the cars start at, they will mirror the Daytona with their packages. So if you want the plus group, like if you want the light bar that goes all the way across the bottom of the grill and whatnot, and you're going to have to pay like $4,000 extra on top of the base price. But those cars will have standard all-wheel drive, and there will be different variants coming, but you're going to have to wait until 2027. So we'll probably end up seeing a HO sedan in 2027 and an SO coupe later. RHO is the new industry superstar. It outperformed the Raptor R off-road in every day with weight and its tire disadvantages. It's an absolute gem. Yes, the RHO is a great package. I was really impressed with it. I don't see why people are complaining about the Hurricane engine. I mean, it sounds like crap. It kind of sounds like a Viper V10. It's just weird because it's an inline 6. But here's the funny thing a lot of people don't realize. That Hurricane engine is actually that whole series of engines were developed by the same people that worked on the Dodge Viper. The Viper motor. The last generation, the 8.4. That whole Viper V10 team was working on the Hurricane engines from 2014 and on. So, yeah, there's some things I don't like about the Hurricane engine. I don't like the fact that it doesn't have an oil dipstick, that you can't check your own oil. I think that's stupid, relying on the computers. It's just more crap to go wrong. I know they had thermostat issues, but they seem to have had that worked out. I haven't seen anything about thermostat issues recently. I haven't seen any, service bulletins about them. So a lot of people who don't understand is the Hurricanes have been in vehicles since 2023. So this is going to be the third model year that these Hurricane engines have proven themselves. And, they have a lot of miles on them already. But they're very impressive. I mean, it's amazing how smooth this engine is. Like, I talked about it in my video. Every Hemi I've had, now mind you, my current vehicle is a Durango RT. Every Hemi vehicle I've had, when you come to, like, let's say you're in a drive-thru or something, it always, like, feels like there's, like, an engine misfire. My 300C did the same thing. It vibrated really weird at idle when it was in gear. And you don't have that with the inline 6. It's super smooth. not that, I mean, it's not that much better on fuel than the 5.7 and 6.4. I don't think, like they said, 15% more efficient. I don't think so. Especially with the HO, because you're running premium fuel no matter what. But I mean, 540 horsepower, again, it's no slouch of a truck. I drove it in the Wagoneer, the actual Wagoneer, the Grand Wagoneer. The only thing, I mean, there's some things I didn't like about the Wagoneer. I thought the Ram felt like it was more tuned. Like, I will tell you that they really have done an excellent job on the 8 HP 75 transmission. I had that same exact transmission in my 2019 Ram 1500 with the Hemi, and with the Hurricane engine, it almost feels like a CVT. You can't even feel it shift. I mean, it's that smooth, and it's still a third generation ZF transmission. We're gonna talk about it here in a few minutes, but the Wagoneer, the upcoming Wagoneer, is gonna get the fourth gen ZF transmissions, and they're supposed to be even smoother. So I don't know how they can be any smoother than what the RHO was. So I was really impressed with that. I've heard a new Chrysler crossover SUV is in development, going by the code name C4U on the medium platform and based on the Jeep Compass J4U that is going to be at Brampton Assembly. That's very interesting, David, because I have not heard that. There's been rumors going on that they're going to be working on, another crossover. The only thing is we haven't seen nothing yet, and Chris Fuel, who, even though she hasn't done much for the brand, she's mentioned that the C6X is the next vehicle. Obviously, the Pacifica is going to get an update for 2026. It's going to get a new front end, some minor restyling to the rear. And it's funny because I've seen some stuff on it, and it looks very much like the Airflow. So I don't know why she was so big on, we're going to redesign it to kind of make it look different. Because honestly, it looks very, very similar to the actual Airflow. Hold on here. Let me see. Give me just a second here. My chat kind of broke up. But I haven't heard nothing on a Stella medium platform SUV. I would hope that they would do something, but what we know for sure is that Pacifica's getting an update. We're going to talk about that too. Pacifica's getting an update. C6X is, matter of fact, let's talk about it right now. I wrote an article last Sunday on the Chrysler brand, and it got a lot of feedback. And I kind of went through and talked about what the hell is going on with Chrysler, because I've gotten so much email about the Chrysler brand being dead. Now, we've heard some YouTubers say, oh yeah, Sherry's over there talking, they're going to buy up, the Chrysler brand. That's not happening. It's not. I haven't seen or heard anybody talk about them being over at CTC. Now, keep in mind, Cherry did have some talks back in 2007 with Chrysler, and that was to bring a small vehicle to North America. However, with Trump's tariffs and stuff, it's going to be impossible for them to do such. But anyways, let's talk about the Chrysler brand. I mean, the Chrysler brand is turning 100 on June 6th of this year. Chris Fuel hasn't done anything to celebrate the 100th anniversary. If it was me, I would be putting 100th anniversary badges on all my minivans. Doing anything I can to make sure that everybody knows that Chrysler's, 100 years old, but we haven't seen nothing. They did announce in one press release that the brand was taking and turning 100. So there's that. But, yeah, I mean, people have said Chrysler's dead. It's far from dead. Okay, you look at sales for 2024. They sold about 5,300 Chrysler 300s in the U.S. that were left over. But they sold, if you look at Pacifica and the Voyager, which they consider them two different vehicles. I don't. The Voyager is only one trim. I consider it a base model Pacifica. But when you look at the actual numbers, the sales numbers, you're looking at pretty close to 120,000 units. And that's pretty damn good considering one vehicle. You look at Dodge. Dodge had leftover Challengers. They had leftover Chargers. They had the Dodge Durango, which has been their bestseller for a long time. And they had the Hornet. Hornet sold 27,000 units. Or no, 24,000 units. Challenger sold 27,000. Charger sold, I think, like 35,000-ish. And the Durango sold 52,000. So basically, Dodge had 144,000 units of sale, like units that were sold in the U.S. So Chrysler's one minivan wasn't that far off of taking on 4 vehicles that Dodge had. And people don't realize that. When you look at a breakdown of sales, Dodge and Chrysler basically make up 5% each of what Stellantis sells globally. Alfa Romeo didn't even make up, I think it made up 1% globally, and they're in every freaking market. Chrysler is only, they were in Mexico, but now they don't sell the minivan down there. They don't even really post anything about it. So Chrysler is basically in Canada and the US. They're not in Australia anymore. They're not in the Middle East. Ever since they discontinued the 300, they're not in the Middle East. So when you look at those actual numbers, yeah, Chrysler's pretty damn impressive. You know, going into 2026, again, Pacifica's going to get an upgrade. We don't know if the Voyager will get an upgrade or not. They haven't said nothing yet. I would assume that it would probably adopt the current Pacifica's front end and stuff like that, just to give it a little more of an update. But we're going to see some new tech in obviously the interior. We're going to see upgraded Uconnect systems, stuff like that, but nothing to be like shocked about. Powertrains will still stay the same according to our sources. They're going to still have Pentastar power. They're still going to have the Pentastar with the SI EVT hybrid transmission. So none of that stuff will change, according to what I've heard. But we're going to definitely get an update to the Pacifica. So it should look a little more modern, should look a little more sleeker. But don't expect something drastic. Now, the weird thing is Chris Phil's come out and said, hey, we're going to offer an all-electric minivan. And it's going to be different than the Pacifica that we have now, but it's going to be built supposedly alongside of it on the Stella Large platform, which doesn't make any sense to me because, yeah, Trump has rolled back EPA standards to basically where they were during the Bush administration. But the problem is we still have CARB. And obviously there's going to be electric vehicles no matter what, because CARB states aren't going to go back to the point where, you know, they're still looking at, all these CARB states are basically saying by 2032, they're not going to have any internal combustion engines. You're going to be allowed to sell 80% EV and 20% plug-in hybrids. That's all they're going to allow. You know, they're even looking at cutting, if you own anything over, like, before 1978, they're going to limit you to what you can drive per year with your, you know, classic vehicles. That's how crazy California and stuff has gotten. But the very interesting part is they're not going to get rid of EVs. To make a all-electric separate minivan doesn't make sense to me because Volkswagen did it with the new ID Buzz. And yeah, it sells more in Europe than it does here. But the problem is when you look at the base model ID Buzz, it's 72 grand. 72 grand for a basic minivan. It doesn't have a lot of range, and that price is just crazy. Just absolute crazy. Nobody's buying them. There's very few people that have bought those things. And I just don't see Pacifica really having, like, one of the things that people love about the Pacifica is it's reasonably priced, and it's kind of like the Swiss Army of vehicles. I mean, you got stow and go seating. You have, you know, tons of room. It's easy to get in and out of because of its low step-in height. Good mileage. I mean, just overall, it's the Swiss Army knife of vehicles. You add in a battery pack, it's going to weigh it down. You're going to get rid of your stow and go seating, because I don't know how the hell they're going to fit stow and go in with a battery pack system, because obviously even with the hybrid system they had to get rid of stow and go. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not. If we look at the C6X, okay, obviously this is the Chrysler Airflow, and this is what the vehicle, I mean, the Airflow looked production ready. Excuse me. It looked production ready. I've seen both the white one and the graphite concept, and they looked like they were 95% done. She didn't like the styling on them and wanted to redo it, and they scrapped it. So it went from having the code name CA to now C6X. And back in January, we broke the news from one of our supplier friends, sent us a thing saying, hey, that production or development had been suspended from January 10th to the 31st. Going into February, that vehicle was continued to be suspended. And a lot of people are thinking like, oh, it's canceled. It's not canceled. It's still being suspended. What they're doing is they're trying to develop a new powertrain strategy for it. So I'm pretty sure why we haven't heard anything from Chrysler. First of all, let's look at it this way. Chris Fuel is now also the CEO for Alfa Romeo North America. And she's been talking a lot about Alfa Romeo lately, but nothing about Chrysler. She keeps saying that there's future product in the lineup and everything's good at Chrysler, but nothing's been really talked about. Alfa Romeo and Chrysler back in 2021, both of those brands had said that they are going to be all electric brands, with Alfa Romeo going to be an all electric brand by 2027 and Chrysler was going to follow by 2028. Last fall, Alfa Romeo came out and said, hey, we're not going to be all electric. There's a lot of pushback against EVs in the European Union because people can't afford them. But they're going to focus on ICE, hybrid, and EVs. So they're going to do all three multi-energy platforms, which makes sense. So Chris Fuel actually sat down with dealers. We talked about it on Mopar Insiders with Alfa Romeo dealers, because there's only like 110 Alfa Romeo dealers and Fiat dealers left in the United States. Now you got to remember, in 2024, they only sold 8,500 vehicles. And, you look at Chrysler, sold 120,000 vehicles in the U.S. So, and Alfa Romeo had 3 vehicles, the Tonale, Stelvio, and Giulia. But the very interesting part was she talked to dealers and she basically told them, a lot of them were saying that they were going to leave because with this whole EV strategy, they weren't selling vehicles to begin with. And if they went to all EV, they weren't going to be able to sell cars here in the U.S. So she went out and came out and said, hey, basically we're following the same route as Europe and we're going to offer ICE and hybrid and EVs. So I seriously believe that we're going to see something very soon, probably around the 100th anniversary, that they're going to announce that Chrysler will not be an all-electric brand anymore. They originally thought like Chrysler could be like a Tesla competitor. That's what they originally thought. And the Airflow would have been a great kind of competitor to the Model X. It's not as fancy with the Falcon Wing doors or anything, but it was a fine vehicle. But we're going to get something like that. So the C6X is coming. I think that they're probably going to put a hybrid powertrain in it, like the Cherokee, because the Cherokee's on the same platform. So I wouldn't doubt that they would put the new 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder in it with a new hybrid transmission. I really think that they're just waiting for the new CEO. I think they're waiting for a couple of things. And another thing is, too, I really think that the reason why they've held on to the suspension of the C6X is because they're really working on fixing the Wagoneer S and Dodge Charger Daytona. And now with the Recon in production, they need to get those 3 Stella Large vehicles like fixed immediately. We talked about it earlier during this live stream, that the Charger Daytona and the Wagoneer S people the owners have been having major problems with what they call the lobster of death. It's like a gear. It looks like a wrench, but it has like zigzag lines in it and kind of looks like a lobster. And people have been basically resetting the cars by unscrewing the 12-volt battery packs in the back and letting the cars go completely dead and then putting the battery back on, and it solves the problems. The problem is like I went to Auburn Hills the other day and I told you guys I seen more Wagoneer S's and Dodge Charger Daytonas running around than I have ever seen before. And they're working on those cars massively. So I think what they're doing is they're putting this project on delay. We're going to see it probably by the end of the year. We're probably going to see something in sheet metal, I would say, by the end of the year. Probably like at the LA Auto Show or something, late in November. But realistically, we're going to see something because they're going to have to show us that something's going on. But I think we're going to see an announcement saying, hey, Chrysler's not going to be an all-electric brand anymore, and they really need to fix the Stella Large platforms before they start rolling out more vehicles, because they don't want to be flooded with constant recalls, constant dealer complaints. They've already seen quality control kind of tank. And then, if you look at the actual like JD Power numbers and stuff, I mean, they've been at an all-time low for Chrysler. So we've seen, why is my mind going blank? Oh, shoot. I can't think. Anyways, they basically put the COO for North America as the new head of quality control for the whole company. So I'm sure that, they're just basically going to fix the Charger Daytona, Wagoneer S, and make sure the Recon launch is smooth before they start working on this car. But I guarantee we're probably going to see a hybrid version of it. We're probably going to see a hybrid version of, and Antonio Filosa's talked about this several times, that we're probably going to see a hybrid version of the new Recon coming. So I wouldn't doubt that we're going to see this thing become a hybrid. But yeah, for those who are naysayers saying that this car isn't going to happen, it's not canceled. It's just delayed. And the reason why is because they're really trying to focus on getting the problem solved. Again, I wrote about Chris Fuel. I know I've talked about this a lot of times before. She's a nice lady. I've met her before. I met her twice. And I don't think she gets the Chrysler brand. She has this whole philosophy that Chrysler is going to be like an adventure lifestyle brand. And it's not. She said in her interview with MSNBC that she sees that the Pacifica could be an adventure vehicle for young people. Yeah, it has all-wheel drive and stuff. And my first vehicle was a minivan. Growing up, when I turned 16, I had a 1994 Dodge Grand Caravan, which I absolutely loved because it was cool because I could put the seats flat, all that stuff. But when you have the stigma of a soccer mom vehicle, it's not going to happen. Like she was like talking about people that go mountain biking and stuff. Like it's a Jeep. It's not. She was talking about empty nesters. I mean, the problem is Chrysler is not made to be a mainstream brand. Walter P. Chrysler formed Chrysler, the brand. You got to remember, Walter P. Chrysler ran the Buick brand. Chrysler is a direct competitor of Buick. It is a blue-collar luxury brand. And this woman does not understand that. That's why the 300 was so great, because it was the more affordable upscale luxury car compared to the Charger. The Pacifica, like the Town & Country and stuff before it, was always the more premium model of the minivan. That's the problem. If you look at Buick now, Buick's a huge brand in China. You look at Buick here, it's not as popular, obviously, but they went from that brand that was, you remember those commercials a few years ago where the old lady comes out and her grandson's there to pick her up in a Buick, and he's like, "Oh, that's a Buick," and she's like, "That's not a Buick," and her friend goes, "That's what I told him." Buick's changed because Buick now has a lineup of crossovers. You know, the Encore, it actually looks pretty well, like decent now. You look at the what the heck is the one? The Envision, right? The Envision, that's built completely in China. That has 100% Chinese parts. It's imported from China. You know, they have the Enclave and stuff like that, but they've expanded a lot, and that's the thing. She needs to focus on making this brand a blue-collar luxury brand. Now, she's talked about a third vehicle, and she talked about a Halcyon-inspired sedan. Now, obviously, the Chrysler Halcyon concept was a pipe dream concept, and I actually am not a fan of it. While a lot of people like the styling on it, I think it looks like an Aston Martin meets a Tesla. And it doesn't it doesn't look like a Chrysler to me. But again, this is a futuristic sedan that is a pipe dream because it's an EV that has unlimited range because it runs on tracks in the road. Okay, because that is realistic. If they're going to build a sedan, it's not going to be this thing. This thing has suicide doors with an open canopy. If you look at the front windshield, it goes down to basically where the driver's knees are. That's not going to be production ready. We're not going to see anything like this. It's going to be inspired by it. I doubt it. We're going to see something more realistic. The funny thing is back in 2021, during the EV Day presentation, us in the media, we got files from Chrysler showing off different things. And one of the files that the media really didn't talk about was we got an image, a sketch of a future Chrysler vehicle. And it was this. Now, obviously, this is a battery electric vehicle, but this is a Stella Large based vehicle, and it's a four-door, sleek hatchback coupe, or sedan, if you want to call it. Very much Charger Daytona-like. You can see how upright it is in the back. Chrysler doesn't have to have a 300. They have Newport, New Yorker, Imperial. They have tons of different names they can use. Nassau, tons of them. But this is a very sleek vehicle. And they showed this vehicle in several drawings, but this was the best one that we actually got to see. Why can't they build something like this? This would be a very easy vehicle to build, meaning all right, we want something that's more upscale than the Charger Daytona. You could have the Charger Daytona underpinnings on this. Make a different interior, make a different body style, same platform, same engines. You can have the Hurricane inline sixes. You can have EV power. It makes sense as a Chrysler. This would be the way to go. And I think this is what we're going to kind of see. Something like this. I don't think we're going to see this exact vehicle, but we're going to see something like this. Not the freaking Halcyon concept. That is not going to happen, but we're going to see something very sleek and stuff like that. But she has mentioned that a sedan based on the Stella Large platform would be like the third vehicle. Then we'll probably see something like a medium-sized crossover. But that's the honest to God's truth. She's mentioned it in several articles, talking at the LA Auto Show this past year, and it sounds like we're going to get a sedan after all. Let's see here. Let me read some comments here. CARB isn't a problem anymore. With the CRA's passed, Congress CARB has lost all power. Well, hopefully that's true, Grant. The ID Buzz is a total flop in the U.S., especially because it has no cup holders in the back seats. Who the hell makes a minivan without cup holders? Bringing back the Ram truck to the Dodge world would be substantial for Stellantis and help save Dodge in the long term. Now, Ridge, I totally agree. If it was me running Stellantis, like if I was running the North American operations, I would merge Dodge back with Ram. I think here's my biggest thing. My biggest problem, sorry, I don't want to be echoed. My biggest problem with let's put it this way. In 2009, it made sense to separate Ram and Dodge. The reason why was the marketing, okay? I didn't agree with it at the time, but sales seemed to improve for Ram once they did that, okay? So you remember they had the Sam Elliott commercials. They just did a whole bunch of different things, and they marketed the trucks as like more agriculture, based. The problem is you go into a Ford dealer. Ford has a complete lineup of vehicles, of mainstream vehicles. It doesn't matter if they're Broncos, that's like their sub-brand. It doesn't matter if it's F-150, Ranger, blah, 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 blah. They have a full lineup, kind of like Dodge used to. There's no reason why they can't go to Dodge and Dodge trucks. I mean, they can still keep the Ram name on all that stuff. Everybody still calls it a Dodge Ram. I don't have a problem with that. I would like to see, if it was me, I would bring Dodge back as a mainstream brand. You can still have your muscle cars and stuff. You got to remember back to how 2006 and stuff was when they introduced the new Charger and the Magnum was out and all that stuff. They had a massive lineup of vehicles. I mean, we had the Nitro, we had the Rango, we had pretty much everything. We had Viper. Dodge had a whole portfolio of vehicles. So when you went into a dealership, it was like, wow, it competes with Chevrolet and Ford. Now we don't have that. We have a Dodge brand that has like 4 vehicles. We have a Ram brand that has pickup trucks and commercial vans. It's just kind of like all over the freaking place. And I think Tim Kuniskis would be fine with that kind of move. I honestly think that Chrysler needs to be the blue-collar luxury brand and needs to build certain vehicles. They need to have at least 2 crossovers. They can have a luxury minivan, but take that Pacific or the Voyager, make it a Grand Caravan like they have in Canada, but put Dodge badges on it and make it a Dodge Grand Caravan again. Dodge, there's no reason why Dodge can't have a sporty base model minivan. No reason. Dodge needs appliance vehicles to make sure that sales can, go up and up and up so they can get more money to build these Halo cars. Jeep will do fine, but they need to control Jeep's pricing. They need to basically cut prices more on Jeep vehicles. Jeep has become this premium adventure brand, which it never was intended to be. Jeep was always the working man's 4x4. And now we're paying... I mean, they did cut the Gladiator prices mainly because they weren't selling. But, I mean, you look at buying... I said this in my video today. You look at buying a Wrangler Willys 2-door, okay? Now they have incentives and stuff on them. But if you look at buying a Wrangler 2-door, you're basically, like a Willys model, you're looking at $50,000 for a 2-door. And it's not even a Rubicon. And that's after destination and stuff. But, I mean, you can see them like from $42,000. But if you get a loaded Willys, $50K for a 2-door. It's stupid. Totally stupid. The Grand Cherokee, you can load those up pretty heavily, to the point where they're $80K. You buy a 4xe Trailhawk and you fully load it, you're looking at $75,000. To me, that's crazy. They did lower the price of the Wagoneer in Grand Wagoneer by like $7K, but I still say, they're cheaper than the Escalade now. They were more expensive than the Escalade, which didn't make any sense to me. But there's just a lot of stuff that needs to be done with Jeep. They need more affordable vehicles. There's just a lot of stuff that they need to do. But there's no reason why Chrysler and Jeep can't complement each other. Matter of fact, here in Detroit, we still have a couple Chrysler Jeep dealers that are standalones. We have right on Van Dyke here in Warren, which is right down the road from the Warren Truck Assembly Plant. We have a Dodge and a Ram dealer, like a Dodge Ram dealer, which is Galliana's, Van Dyke Dodge. And then we have Jim Reel's, which is Jim Reel's friendly Chrysler Jeep right down the street from them. There's no reason why those brands can't complement each other. And I really think, you look back in the 70s, Dodge had Dodge and Dodge trucks. Splitting those brands up were stupid. I would like to see Dodge and Ram back together. I think Tim Kuniskis could run both because he's done passenger cars, he's done multiple brands. If it was under one umbrella, I think it would be fine. But I think Jeep could do, if there was a CEO for Jeep like Bob Bordendorf, he could run Jeep and Chrysler. There's no reason why they need multiple CEOs. I mean, if you're going to build Wagoneers and stuff, there's no reason why he can't look at blue collar luxury brands. So to me, that would save some money in management. It would save money in development because you don't need vehicles that kind of cross each other. Both Chrysler and Jeep would complement each other by having cars and minivans as well as SUVs. So, I mean, Chrysler would be more crossover based, where Jeep would be obviously more SUV based. So it just makes sense to me. So I agree with you. I think that Dodge and Ram would be huge together again, and it would complement Stellantis as an automotive maker here in North America, kind of like how GM has Chevrolet. You go into a Chevy dealership, they have a whole portfolio of vehicles, ranging from base model vehicles to pickups to vans to commercial vehicles to pretty much anything. Ford's the same way. Stellantis doesn't have that. You jump from brand to brand to brand. It doesn't make sense to me. Just launched a 6-pack already. James, they are going to launch it in June. They're testing them out on the road. I've seen both the coupe and sedan, and they look phenomenal. So you can see these YouTubers go, oh God, this is going to suck. They don't sound like Hemis, but they're going to be fast. The cars are going to be heavy because they're going to have standard all-wheel drive and stuff. But the more power that they have should make up for the difference. And they look freaking killer. I will say that the 6-pack, in my opinion, they're running them without camouflage. We've seen them. I posted an article the other day on Mopar Insiders with somebody, one of our readers posted that they shot through a fence and on a holding lot, and you could see them there, and they look more mean looking than the Daytona does. But they're coming. They need a Chrysler truck called the Emperor. Yeah, I don't think Chrysler needs a truck. I would like to see, honestly, if I ran the Chrysler brand, I would get rid of, or if I ran Stellantis North America, I would get rid of Fiat and Alfa Romeo, because obviously that experiment has failed over the last 15 years. And I would basically launch the Plymouth brand again as an entry-level brand. I think Plymouth would do really good with some basic cars. I mean, I think a small crossover, a small crossover, a sedan, an affordable sedan, and some kind of like fun kind of car would be really good for basically Plymouth to come back. I really do. I think like a vehicle kind of like the 500X and kind of like the Renegade, something small like that, would be really good for Plymouth to come back, and then they can kind of build off of that. Let's see here. Thanks to Walter B. Chrysler for saving the Dodge Brothers Company from Dillon and Reed. Yes, and that's the thing. I don't even think Chris Fuel knows any history about the Chrysler brand, Walter P. Chrysler and that. I will tell you guys that, so one of my good friends is Frank B. Rhodes Jr., and if you don't know who Frank B. Rhodes Jr. is, he's the great-grandson of Walter P. Chrysler. And I talk to Frank like probably 3 times a week. He's a super nice guy. And right now he's putting on, him and the guys that run the Chrysler Nationals down at Carlisle, they're planning on having a huge, huge event this summer. And I'm going for sure. But they're going to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Chrysler in style. And when I was talking to Frank the other day, he put me on hold because the guy who's in charge of the Carlisle event called him, and basically Chrysler announced that they're coming back with Dodge to not sponsor, but they're going to be part of the event. So the Halcyon concept will be in Carlisle. We don't know if they're going to do an announcement or not, but Dodge will be there with the Charger Daytona. Maybe by that time, the Charger 6-pack. on display. And in the last few years, they haven't been there, which is kind of funny because you think they would be trying to market in their, in what would be like the best kind of market because everybody there's a Mopar fan, but they haven't done it in the last few years. But there's going to be a massive presence there with Chrysler stuff. We're going to see Chrysler concourse kind of like vehicles. There's going to be a massive parade. I've been trying to talk my dad into taking the 79 300 that we have down. I doubt we will though. But I'm looking at renting an Airbnb and spending the whole weekend there. There's going to be a parade. There's going to be... This is another thing. A lot of people don't understand that. Chrysler just didn't do vehicles. They did, like they owned refrigerator companies like Frigidaire. They owned... they built the Saturn V Stage 1 rockets to go to the moon. They built tons of military stuff. And there's going to be Sherman tanks there with Chrysler engines. There's going to be at least 2 Sherman tanks that are going to be there. So they're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. So hopefully everybody that's on the live stream will find some time and go out to that event. It's going to be massive. Every year it's a huge event, but this year it's going to be even better. So they're going to do a whole bunch of stuff to celebrate Chrysler. Even though Chrysler's really not doing nothing themselves, the Chrysler National is going to be crazy this year. So I can't wait to go. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. And I really think that, a lot of people are just kind of missing out on the fact that, there's a lot to be positive about. And I think after this weekend, when we post some stuff, that a lot of people will be very happy. Let's see here. Chrysler's sister version of the Wagoneer. I would agree and I would disagree, because if you're going to do Chrysler as a blue-collar luxury brand, I don't think they need a full-size SUV. I just don't. I think Dodge would be more apt to be, the full-size SUV kind of brand. One thing is, we're going to talk about the Wagoneer. Give me a second here. I want to take a drink. I'm still kind of fighting a cold. I was really sick last month, and I haven't been able to shake this cough and stuff, so my voice is kind of scratchy. But bring back the Eagle brand as an all-wheel drive platform. Don't count on taking the 309 just yet. Or the 300, yeah. Is that my dad? Does it say, because it says William Miller? I'm wondering if it's my dad. And why would you be named William on there? We're going to talk Wagoneer real quick. I did an article the other day, actually it was yesterday, about the Wagoneer. A lot of people had questions about it. There's going to be some interesting stuff coming for 2026 that we found out. So Wagoneer is going to get its first actual mid-cycle action or refresh. And the very interesting thing... Well, hey, Dad, how's it going, man? The very interesting thing about the Wagoneer is there's going to be a lot of different developments with it. First, we're going to see an updated front end. We're going to see a revised rear end to the vehicle. And from what I've been told, the Wagoneer, the standard Wagoneer, will adapt a little bit of kind of looks from the Wagoneer S. Whether that be those kind of striker things on the front, we don't know yet. But nonetheless, it will still have Hurricane power. There's no word if there's going to be a Hemi coming back to the Wagoneer. Everybody's asked me that, like, hey, is the Hemi, because it's coming back to the Ram pickup, is it coming back to the Wagoneer? I have not heard anything yet about a Hemi-powered Wagoneer or Grand Wagoneer coming back. As far as we know, the Ram 1500 and the Durango are the only 5.7 vehicles that are coming back. So we take that with a grain of salt. But what we know is, obviously, the twin-turbo Hurricane engines are going to be back, and they're going to have a new transmission. So unlike the Ram 1500, which uses the 8HP 75, which is a third-generation ZF automatic transmission, the new Wagoneers will actually use the 880RE, which is the Chrysler-built version of the fourth-generation ZF transmission. So these will be the same exact transmissions that will be in the new Charger 6 pack. And these transmissions are supposed to shift faster, be a lot smoother, which is going to be kind of challenging because I drove that RHO and it was super smooth. And the very interesting thing is it's supposed to be a lot more like robust, so a lot tougher. But it'll be very interesting to see how those new 880 REs interact with the Wagoneer, because obviously people are going to be towing with them, you know, and doing other things other than like the Charger, which is more of a car, obviously, and, you know, people are using them for performance vehicles. We're also going to see a very important upgrade with the powertrain. So one thing we're going to see late in 2026, and I mean late in 2026 model year, is the addition of the range extender electric vehicle. So basically the Wagoneer is getting a 4xe model. They've been teasing this since 2021, but they are going to build an all-electric version eventually. But again, just like Ram, they have pushed up basically the range extender electric vehicle, or REV. It's basically going to be the same exact powertrain that the Ramcharger will have. 92 kilowatt hour battery pack, Pentastar V6 connected to an inverter. You can see it right here. So here's the Pentastar V6 connected to an inverter. It's still going to have an exhaust system out the back, just like those spy photos I showed you earlier. 2 EDMs, so we should have around 663 horsepower, 615 foot-pounds of torque, air suspension, all that jazz. So it should be a really thorough package that, again, you're not losing range if you're towing or anything, and you don't have to like stop and constantly recharge. You can just go to a gas pump, put gas in it, and the Pentastar will make enough juice to basically recharge that 92 kilowatt hour battery pack. So it's going to be the same exact kind of platform that's underneath the Ramcharger. That's why we're seeing the Ramcharger get pushed back a little bit. You know, they're really trying to make sure that's refined before they release it. And the reason why is it's going to spawn a Wagoneer model and a Grand Wagoneer model as well. So it's not going to be just a Wagoneer, but a Grand Wagoneer. And we're hearing that it won't be just the standard Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. It'll be also the L model. So there'll be 4 different variants of the Ramcharger powertrain in a Grand Wagoneer. And these are all supposed to be making it to market by the end of the 2026 model year. So the Ramcharger will beat them out to production, but we will see this powertrain in a Wagoneer by the end of the 2026 model year for sure. So that's huge, huge news. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of changes for 2026, and what I've heard is the Grand Wagoneer will look more sleek and upscale. We're going to see some new tech, obviously the same kind of tech that we've seen in the Ram 1500 with the Atlantis architecture. That's going to go over to this truck. We're going to see, you know, obviously the Wagoneer's already got the 10.25-inch passenger screen, massaging seats and all that stuff. But we're going to see, you know, a different kind of Uconnect system, probably a bigger one. I might see a revised interior, stuff like that. So it's going to be very interesting. A lot of people have said, hey, is that the new Wagoneer? No, this is a 2022 model. I put it on here because we haven't seen anything of the new Grand Wagoneer just yet. But we should be seeing it very soon. Because, I mean, we'll probably end up seeing it probably later. Tomorrow's the first day of spring, so probably early summer. I would start saying that we're actually going to see revised Wagoneers. Now, they are testing a ton of Wagoneers and Grand Wagoneers, but obviously you can do powertrain, you know, upgrades and stuff using the current bodies. So, I forgot they are having have a truck. The name sucks. It looks so soft. So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on, and it seems kind of crazy because, again, since December, since Carlos Tavares has left or was fired, the company's kind of like changing completely around. We're seeing like all this different stuff come to market, and it doesn't even matter if it's in South America, because like I wrote an article about the Jeep Renegade. That's getting a mild hybrids upgrade, and the Renegade actually still is doing good down there. If you don't know, the Renegade is one of the best-selling SUVs in Brazil. They updated it. They gave it a meaner look back in, what was it, 2024, 23? They gave it an updated front grille, gave it a better interior, and it was way better looking than the North American market one. And now they're giving it a mild hybrid system. So, I mean, this one's going to still be kicking it down there probably until 2028. And we're going to have a new Renegade here, like a completely new Renegade, before they probably will down there, which is kind of rare because usually they get the compact SUVs before we do. But the Renegade down there is just killing it. And then, again, they have Compass. They have the Commander down there, which is a 7-passenger version of the Compass. So, I mean, Jeep's just really killing it down there in South America. But they're really, like, doing different powertrain strategies. We're seeing Europe, basically go away from EVs there. And it's getting kind of crazy because, again, it's a complete 180. We went from seeing this company, like, basically do nothing and was going to build all these EVs and everybody go to, like, hating these brands to, we're going to see some really crazy changes, like really crazy changes. Also, if you haven't read Mopar Insiders, we did an article on St. Patrick's Day that Stellantis is actually shifting the production of their Maserati production in Italy. Now, Maserati will stay in Italy, but what they're doing is they're getting rid of the Gran Turismo and the Gran Cabrio from basically their current spots in Turin, and they're actually moving them to Modena or Modena, whatever you want to say. There's two different ways you can say it, but they're actually going to move production to where the MC20 is. So they haven't sold a lot of Maseratis. I mean, Maseratis is like obviously one of the worst selling brands. They're losing money like crazy, and John Elkann's actually trying to move production around. And again, we're going to see production shifts here probably within the next 6 to 10 months on some different products. But nonetheless, they're trying to do the same thing to optimize production there and save some money. Now, a lot of people are wondering what's going on with Turin because are they going to close it down? And no, they're actually going to build the new Fiat 500 hybrid there. So if you remember right, Fiat 500 E was actually one of the best-selling electric vehicles in Europe. And then in the last year and a half, it kind of has tanked in sales. And that's because a lot of people can't afford EVs. The people who bought EVs originally, already did, but people can't afford it. And you look at that car here, it's a 2-passenger car that has about 100 miles or 180 miles of range for $32,000. I mean, that's not enough range to really go and do anything. So over in Europe, they're going for like, I don't know, 35,000, like the equivalent of 35,000. They're a little more expensive there. So what they're doing is they're basically, they spent $110 million on revamping that Fiat 500 to adopt a 1-liter 3-cylinder hybrid powertrain. And that's the powertrain that was in the old 500 hybrid. And that vehicle is going to be built in Turin. So that plant's not going to be down. They're actually predicting that the 500 hybrid will actually sell way better than the electric model that's actually built at the Metafori plant. So it's going to be very interesting to see what goes on in Italy, because John Elkann actually had a big talk there to the government today, and he actually mentioned that Stellantis will have a new CEO by the end of June for sure. So I was on a conference call for financials about, 2 weeks ago, and Elkann said that they were down to 5 people. He wouldn't say who they were. 2 of them were internal, and 3 of them were outsiders. But he said they were looking for somebody that knew all the brands and knew the history of the brands and appreciated them all. So, but yeah, that is pretty much what is going on this week. I mean, it's been kind of crazy. we're going to see some really interesting stuff this weekend. So make sure to stay and check out Mopar Insiders this weekend, because we're probably going to have a huge article on Friday and definitely a huge article on Saturday. Let's see here. Just going through the chat one more time, making sure, because I am going to bounce. It's midnight. I got some writing I have to do for tomorrow, but make sure to check out Mopar Insiders. 5th Gen Rams has been kind of busy because we've been posting a lot of stuff on there. And make sure to check out my Mopar Junkie YouTube channel. Let's see here. What did you say, bro? They need to focus on what sells. Ram is number one. They need more base model tradesman options. RHO tradesman, even. The Classic was a cash cow. So let's put it this way, Mandated. Did you read my article today on Mopar Insiders about affordable pickups? About the gap left by the Ram 1500 Classic? If you didn't, you should, because I talked all about that today. And Stellantis' CFO, Doug Osterman, who's American, by the way, actually talked about that same situation today. Now, Tim Kuniskis, again, has been very vocal about making a lineup of sub $50,000 pickups. And I actually posted these trucks here. These are all under $50,000 right now. The Ram Tradesman Sport. Obviously, this is the old Ram 1500 Classic Warlock that was selling so well. Then they have the Ram Tradesman Night Edition. And, of course, there's the Warlock truck, too. But there is a lot of options that you can get under $50,000 now, but there's going to be even more. So with the addition of the Hemi, the 5.7, we're probably going to see a couple new trims. But there are options out there right now. If you're looking to buy a truck right now, there are some sub $50,000 options. If you want the Hurricane engine, if you want the standard output Hurricane engine, the Warlock with incentives right now is actually at $50K. And you can get the standard output with basically a budget-friendly Rebel package. If you go Pentastar V6, which is not a bad engine at all, you still get 305 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, and an actually smooth 8-speed automatic transmission. But you can get like a Night Edition 4x4 crew cab like this for about $47,000. And then, again, like I said, if you don't like the wheels and stuff, the best thing is if you get the Tradesman, you basically get a level 1 package. So basically you get a power sliding rear window. The only real things that you miss out compared to the Bighorn is you don't get an upper glove box. The materials are, if you get just a standard Bighorn, it's pretty much the same materials. But you do get standard LED headlights, the same halogen taillights that are even in the Ram Laramie pickups and the Rebel. And then you also get adaptive cruise control standard for 2025. So there's a lot of content in these trucks. Oh, and a standard 8.4-inch Uconnect screen. So there is a lot of value in these base model trucks. But you can get this one for $47, and what you're saving, you can go to like Discount Tire or whatever and buy a nice set of wheels and rims. I bought Rebel wheels, and which were 18 inches, and with the OEM Duratrack tires. A whole set on eBay for $1,800. So you could do that. So, yeah, go on there and read it. I talked about the actual, how much like Ram sales have declined. Just there's been a lack of investment because a lot of people, like I said earlier, the Ram 1500 Classic, even though it was an old truck, the funny thing is it was a very important part of the brand. So when they got rid of that truck, it basically killed 15% of their sales because a lot of people don't understand that truck was actually really good for people that had bad credit, that were just looking at getting into a V8 truck under $45,000. And, it might be outdated and stuff, but the honest to God's truth is they sold really good. In Canada especially, and I said this earlier, it got to the point where Stellantis actually canceled the Ram 1500 Classic early in Canada because it was killing the sales of the DT trucks. They were selling a ton of Ram 1500 Classics and DT trucks were just sitting on lots. So they killed it, and they were trying to make the dealers push DT trucks, which were outrageously priced, and sales have dropped even in Canada after the Ram 1500 Classic came to an end. So that's one of the reasons why Tim Kuniskis has been really big in saying, hey, we need a whole lineup of sub $50,000 trucks. So it'll be very interesting to see what they come up with. Obviously, again, they've lowered the price of the Warlock to 50 grand. You know, Tradesman Sport, there's Tradesman Night Editions. You can get a Tradesman with Chrome package. It looks just like the Bighorn, you know, for basically like $46,000. So, I mean, Pentastar power is not a bad thing. If you're just looking for a basic truck, the Pentastar actually has a really good engine. A lot of people say, oh, they have lifter problems and, you know, they get oil up in the top of the motor. If you do your oil changes regularly and don't wait, I've never seen a Pentastar like fail just because if you take care of it. If you do your regular maintenance, I've never seen them fail. If you're one of those people who are like, oh God, I don't want to change the oil, I'll wait till, you know, the light comes on and not like be religious about changing your oil and stuff, you're going to run into problems. But honest to God's truth, we're going to see the 5.7 later this year. It's going to basically come into these kind of packages, and the 5.7 obviously is not as powerful as the Hurricane engines, but it's a lot cheaper. So we're going to see the 5.7 Hemi come into like Tradesman and Bighorn for sure. Do we know when the mid-cycle refresh for the 2026 Jeep Grand Cherokee WL with the new Hurricane Evo is supposed to make its debut? So, okay, so that vehicle was actually supposed to be out already, according to what I've heard, and it's been delayed again. We probably won't see the 2026s until late this year. The reason why is because they're having like everything else, they're having electrical issues. So they're trying to iron out the software. I will say that we will have some spy photos up of the new Trailhawk 4xe coming out this weekend on Mopar Insiders. But yeah, the new Grand Cherokee will have standard 4-cylinder power. Everybody's asked me about that vehicle too. Will the Grand Cherokee L get the 5.7 again? I have not heard anything. I have not heard anything about Hemi updates with the 5.7 other than the Durango is getting it. Durango Pursuit's getting it back for 2026, and Ram 1500. So, but that vehicle has been delayed again, and that's basically because of electrical issues. So we're hoping that we're going to see that change very, very soon. But realistically, you're probably going to have to wait till like November. So, but honestly, it's not going to be a huge update. We're going to see new Uconnect screens. You can go on Mopar Insiders and see all the updates stuff. It's going to get a revised front bumper with more adaptive cruise control stuff like level 2 plus, ADS. And then you're going to see basically the center stack is changing because it's getting the same kind of Uconnect system that the Wagoneer has with haptic buttons. And then they're going to put the physical buttons still up above the stereo where the vents are, but that bezel's changing as well. So, let's see here. Ridge, thank you for your awesome content and passion for the Mopar community. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm just, like one of the things that crack me up is I'm so sick and tired of all the negativity about all these supposed online insiders. I see all this stuff that's just clickbait BS, and it cracks me up because, I mean, I'm not going to lie, last year I was kind of depressed about how the company was going because obviously I see that on Mopar Insiders when people are depressed about stuff or can't afford it because high interest rates or pricing, our hits go down. But I'm never going to post like clickbait stuff. That's just not, as a Mopar fanatic, I wouldn't want to be like, I hate articles and stuff that are like that. I just think like right now there's such a positive vibe going on. It's kind of, it's chaotic right now because every day we're learning new and like more and more stuff. And it's to the point where the company doesn't know everything that's going on because everything's changing so rapidly. But, we try not to post stuff that's clickbait. We try to make sure like we actually do, when Jared and I write articles, or even when Mike Volkman, who was on here earlier, when he writes stuff, like we try to really do a lot of research and make sure that our information is right. I mean, there's been times where we're wrong about stuff, but a lot of times it's because they cancel programs and stuff. I'll go back and say, yeah, I said that there was going to be a Challenger ACR project, which there was one. I seen documents for them working on one back in 2018. But the problem is sometimes those programs get canceled because, they don't meet like marketing demands, like, hey, the market's changing, or they might be like too expensive. So we really try to do our homework and get people, to back up our information before we post stuff. And like, even with like, I just said, like, there's plant shuffling going to happen. I've been on the phone with several people at plants, people that are in CTCs, people that are in the manufacturing part, people with the UAW. I talk to a lot of people. And that's one thing that's kind of cool because I always wanted to work for Chrysler. Like, I wanted to be a car designer, but now that I'm like an automotive journalist, like with the media and stuff, I get to meet people and talk to people all the time and kind of get like a background with people, get familiar with them. And it's kind of nice because you kind of find out information, but it's really, you're digging for information. You're talking to multiple sources. You want to take and make sure that your stuff's right. I mean, anybody can post BS. And sometimes, like, if you look at our articles, like when things are slow, I do post like, you'll notice that I post a lot of auction stuff. And the reason why I post a lot of auction stuff is if I find a vehicle that's very interesting to me, I'll post it. But we do get a lot of hits on the auction stuff, believe it or not. And a lot of people get mad that we post, like, obviously I posted that thing about the Maserati stuff. I get a lot of people saying, hey, Maserati's not a Mopar brand, but Stellantis is part of that whole thing. And the interesting part is we do get a lot of shared, basically, if you look at what they're doing for the European brands like Alfa Romeo and stuff like that, a lot of times like different platform information and stuff like that will kind of trickle over to the Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram side. Like, for example, I posted a bunch of stuff this spring or this last summer on the Citroen C3. And a lot of people are like, that's stupid. Why are you posting crap like that? Because it's the new Stella Medium platform that's going to underpin the new Jeep Compass. And like the Jeep Compass is going to make its debut in Europe. And it's going to be totally different. I mean, it's going to look the same, but it's going to have different powertrains than what we're going to get here. So there's just a lot of stuff like that we try to do. Like, we try to talk to the European stuff. We try to do a lot of different things to make sure that everybody kind of gets informed about a little bit of everything. And the other very interesting part is, a lot of people don't know this, is 15% of our viewership. Now, Mopar Insiders is by far the biggest Mopar website on the planet. It's kind of funny because today I was looking at analytics, and Mopar Insiders is ranked 229th out of all automotive websites around the world. We're ranked 229th. So that's kind of cool. If you look at Dodge Garage, I think Dodge Garage was ranked, I think it was like 770th or something like that. So we're even bigger than Dodge's own website. And they even post a lot of my articles on there, which is kind of funny. But we try to do a lot of research to make sure that our articles are backed up. We do like get stuff from Reuters and Bloomberg and stuff like that too, but there's a lot of stuff that we have to do research on. So I don't want to post something that is just like, again, clickbait BS. And if you're a Mopar fan, if you really are a Mopar fan right now, it's going to be a huge exciting time over the next 12 to 16 months for sure. We're going to get a lot of new product. We're going to get some return products. Like I said, the 5.7's going back in the Hemi. or the 5.7 Hemi's going back into the Ram. Hemi production's moving back to Michigan. I mean, it's actually being moved to Michigan, and we've never had a modern day Hemi built here. We had the 426 Hemi built in Marysville, Michigan, which was right by where I grew up. But we've never had any of the modern Hemis built here, and now they're going to be built at Dundee. So that's kind of cool. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff going on. And, like, again, we got, the Trump tariffs going on. So, they're looking at doing, again, some product shuffling from what I hear. Trump has cut back on EPA regulations. So we're seeing, again, the Hemi return. We're hearing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to see Friday is the 5.7 is going to get a slight update. So that's going to be kind of cool. But there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. And again, every day is different. We're hearing more and more stuff. We're not going to just throw out stuff. But I'm more than happy to come on here and try to clear up stuff. I like being able to come on and talk with you guys and engage, because we have the forums on Mopar Insiders. And if you're not part of the forums, get on there. It's a lot of fun. We have some European people on there that talk, about Stellantis stuff. We have probably about 25 diehard people that are always on there. And then we have the people that come on occasionally, but there's like 6,000 people in the Mopar Insiders actual forums. Like, we have 5th Gen Rams. That's another website we work on, Jared and I. And that's the biggest 5th generation Ram pickup site. We have over 120,000 forum members on there. And that site is massive. We have HD Rams. That's a site dedicated to the heavy duty trucks. Obviously, they're the 4th generation trucks still. So that site is dedicated to nothing there but heavy duty stuff. We do 1st generation, 2nd generation, 3rd generation, 4th, all heavy duty stuff on that website. So, I mean, that's got a big following too. That's got, 60,000 forum members. So, yeah, I mean, we stayed pretty busy. We had launched another website called Gearhead Daily. I haven't done nothing with it since December, just because Mopar Insiders in 5th Gen Rams and HD Rams takes up almost all of my time. And then on top of it, I wanted to do YouTube because it's not about making money or anything. It's about getting on here and talking about stuff, because I'm so sick and tired of these YouTubers that come out and basically put out nonsense. So sometimes they're right. I'm not going to lie. Like Butter the Insider, Butter is really good with, if you want to know anything about the Demon 170, he has all the inside sources about like what's going on with that stuff. He is excellent when it comes to Demon 170 stuff. And, him and I talk a lot, and he sends me, service bulletins and all that stuff. He's a great guy. There's some YouTubers that are really good, but some of them just like to spill like all this BS. They don't know what they're talking about. And I just think it's negative in the Mopar community. Again, I'm here. I'm a fan. Do I like the fact that the RHO has the new Hurricane engine? I don't like the way it sounds. I've always been a V8 kind of guy. I mean, I've owned a number of V8 vehicles, but I think the new Hurricane's pretty freaking fast. I was really impressed with it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The Charger Daytona, I drove one. The one I drove didn't have all the problems that they had out in the Arizona. I mean, the car I drove had almost 4,000 miles on it and had an update. Is it fast? Yeah, it's fast, but is it like it didn't seem as fast as like a Hellcat, but it was, I mean, I was really impressed with the car. Did it convert me to be an EV person? No, it made me more excited about the 6-pack cars. So there's a lot of things, like I will be very brutally honest, and Dodge sends me stuff like cars and stuff to interview. And, like I drove a Hornet. You can watch my video on this channel about the Hornet. The powertrain on the Hornet's awesome. The 1.3 liter plug-in hybrid. And the funny thing is, Dodge sends this vehicle over to me. They didn't charge it, and they didn't send a charger over. And if I was going to go take it to a standard level 2 charger, like if it doesn't take fast charging, it was going to be sitting there for 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I only had it for 5 days. So I ended up driving it like a hybrid, just like, letting the gas engine do all the work. powertrain was phenomenal. I didn't like the fact that it was based like Alfa Romeo. Like when you got inside, I hated the steering wheel controls. I hated the radio controls. It didn't feel like a Dodge. And I was very brutally honest about it because, again, like you, I'm a fan. So not everything is positive about Chrysler vehicles and Dodge vehicles and that. But I feel that we have a right as in, like, you know, a lot of people don't understand Mopar Insiders has nothing to do with Stellantis. We are not affiliated with Stellantis at all. They do send us vehicles to test once in a while. They don't send us to like hardly any events anymore. They're more about, like I was supposed to be invited to the Charger Daytona event, which they said I was going to be, and I never was. I never got an invite, but luckily I know people within the company that let me, you know, drive one of the cars before the first drives impressions came out. But usually, Dodge has been pretty good to us, you know, about getting our hands on stuff. Ram's been really good because of obviously Ram, the 5th gen Ram site. We've done media events before and stuff like that, but they're more big into like YouTubers and, you know, like these social media people. Like I seen one girl, this is one of the funniest things. We didn't get invited to the 2025 Ram 1500 launch, which was kind of crazy because of 5th gen Rams. But one girl that was on there, she has like, I don't know, probably, I want to say like maybe 15,000 followers. And she posted a video. This is what the 2025 Ram 1500 horn sounds like. It's the same damn horn they've had since like 1994. It's the dumbest things. Like if we're going to do like videos and stuff, we're going to be honest about it and whatever. I mean, I really don't care. I have more fun sitting here talking with you guys one-on-one and talking about, you know, what I would do with the company or what I've seen and stuff like that. So, how come the 5th gen Ram Heavy Duty is still 4th gen cab? Well, there's never been a 5th gen heavy duty truck. It is still the 4th gen trucks. They're still the same code names. The platforms are the same. They are technically, everything's the same. The reason why is because heavy duty trucks do not meet the same regulations in crash testing and all that other stuff as half-ton trucks. So they can continue to build the 4th gen body style. If they were going to build a 5th gen truck, they would have to change quite a bit. So, I mean, if you look at the 5th gen cab is 4 inches longer than the 4th gen cab. And obviously they have a 6.4 box, but they do not have an 8-foot box available. We've seen front end conversions for the 5th gen stuff to be able to adapt to a 4th gen body. And when I talked to back in the 2019 launch at the Detroit Auto Show, I ended up talking to Ryan Nagodi, who is the lead interior designer for all of Ram trucks. And I asked him, you know, how I was really impressed with how they put the 5th gen interior in the 4th gen cab. And he said that they designed the dash and everything to have basically a panel that fit into the firewall so they could adapt it. So they designed the 4th gen, well, actually they designed the 5th gen interior to be adaptable to the 4th gen. If you look at the door panels and stuff in the heavy duties, they're different because the doors are different. The dash is the same, but everything else is different. A-pillars, dash, the seats are the older seats. That's why, like, even if you look at the 2025 Ram heavy duties, even though they get the Atlantis, new Atlantis architecture, they don't have heads-up displays. There's a lot of things that they're missing. They don't have massaging seats. There's no tungsten model. There's no 23 speaker Klipsch audio system. You know, and the 4th gen cab, it's still a comfortable cab. It's a little narrower. The one thing I will say about the 4th gen cab is the only downfall about it compared to the other cabs. So they have the mega cab still. And the mega cab gives you the ability to recline your seat, I think 23 degrees, which is nice. But in the 5th gen crew cab, you can recline those seats too, and you can actually recline them more than what you can in the mega cab because of the additional 4 inches. So I would love to see them build an actual 5th gen HD, but it would require a lot of money. And when you consider how many half-ton trucks compared to heavy-duty trucks they sell, I don't know if it would be worth it, because we're probably going to have the same heavy-duty truck until 2020. I would say 2028 at least. So the 4th gen trucks will be around for almost 20 years at that point. They came out in 2009 as a 2010 model. So, yeah, there's just a lot of things that they can get away with heavy-duty trucks. But, I mean, the one benefit is they never have built like a 5th gen regular cab truck, and they still have a 4th gen heavy-duty regular cab. So I would love to see a 5th gen regular cab truck, but it's not going to happen. It's just not. They don't sell enough. So hope that answers your question, Grant. But I am going to hit the, I'm going to go do some work, and then I'm going to hit the hay. So it was good talking to you guys. Glad you guys could come on here and have some fun. And again, make sure to check out Mopar Insiders this weekend. I might do a live stream this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to or not. But there's going to be some big news, and I will have videos to go along with that big news this weekend. So make sure to check out Mopar Insiders. Check out my YouTube channel, because we're going to talk about what we have found out, and I think you guys will be very excited about some stuff. So, all right, I will see you in the next live stream, or maybe chatting on the Mopar Insiders forums. So I will see you guys later. Have a good night, and catch you later. Bye.